back to Alice Talks Football and welcome back to a live Manchester United news, transfer news, update show and discussion show ahead of the Crystal Palace game. And I do want to apologise for being literally 10 minutes late to this live show. The last two times I pressed live, my laptop completely crashed, completely froze, and now I've unplugged my mic. It's fine. But if I plug my mic back in, it might crash. So we're in a situation where I'm using the BTEC built-in mic, not this. I know this one's here, but it's not working. So I do apologise if the audio quality isn't as good this live stream. But for some reason, my mic being plugged in is making my laptop crash every few seconds. So it's probably the best we can do. But I wanted to get into the news. I want to get into the stories. Big up everyone for tuning in. I want to talk about Nypan. Manchester United moving quick to get a deal done for Nypan. They want to get him in ahead of the January window, moving quick. Maybe get that sorted now ahead of January. We're going to talk about Nypan, who that is, and previous links to him we've spoken about a couple times in the last week on this channel. We're going to talk about the Crystal Palace game, who's out, who's in, who's available for both teams. Dan Gore returns, why that's a really big thing. We're going to talk about, obviously, Zach signing a new deal at Manchester United, a really talented midfielder. We're going to talk about the youth. We're going to talk about the new stadium. It looks like it's happening. And then we're going to talk about our starting 11s ahead of the game tomorrow. So, guys, do let me know your starting 11 ahead of tomorrow's game as well. And, yeah, look, I hope the audio quality is all right, and I just apologise if it isn't at its best. Just let me know as well. But yeah, we're on 93,000 subscribers. Big up everybody in the chat. Thank you for all the support you've shown. We have hit 93,000 subscribers. But let's get into the news. Then we're get into the Crystal Palace preview, as I don't want this live stream to be crazy long as well. But if it is really bad, I can try plugging my mic back in again. But just keep me going on how the sound and everything is coming out. And if it is bad, I can try to plug the mic in and take the risk. But let's talk about the story on Nypan that has come out from Dean Jones Soccer. It has come out and said, United Chiefs are so impressed with Nypan that a deal could be brokered in January to bring him in to the club sooner than anticipated. United are expected to be considering a deal to sign him from Rosenborg, though they would loan him back out to the club to boost his progress by virtue of game time. Manchester United are intent on making sure they don't miss out on top young talents for the coming years when they have been early to scout them instead of premiums down the line. So what's sort of being said is Manchester United at the end of the summer window, probably back in August, sort of mid-August, were linked to Nypan. On deadline day, we were also linked to Nypan ahead of doing a late deal for Nypan because Arsenal had shown some interest, and I think those inside United were a little bit worried because Arsenal had shown some interest and we want to get this guy in. Now, if you don't know, we played Rosenborg, first game of pre-season. Nypan was really threatening. He was a player that Man United might be looking at, a little bit like how we signed Ronaldo after playing Sporting in pre-season all those years ago. He's a young talent that United have been following for well over a year, and obviously United playing Rosenborg and sending scouts to Rosenborg games is a suggestion they're looking at Nypan. We're going to talk in more detail about what has been said on Nypan by other sources like the United Puppeteers today and a source yesterday, what has been said on Nypan. But Manchester United, obviously, if they'd signed Nypan in the summer, they couldn't get him until January until he's 18 because of Brexit rules. Now, Manchester United feel that if they sign Nypan in January, there's no point bringing him in right away because he's not going to come in and play. So Man United are probably planning to get this Nypan deal done now, whether it's in January, be finalised in January, and then loan him back out is what United's sort of plan is to Rosenborg. And I think they want to beat Arsenal on this deal. This is a deal that, Manchester United have been looking to do for a while. And if I'm going to be honest, if I had to predict our next signing, I would guess Nypan. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I would guess it. I think Gittins, I think Dibbling, that's more of a summer deal. Maybe with injuries, if Luke Shaw gets injured again, maybe we sign a left back. But I think our next signing was very likely to be Nypan, if I was to guess. I think there's a couple of people we're keeping an eye on, like Hassan Diao, Dibblin's Gittin, but I think that is for next summer. I think in January it is maybe someone like Nypan for the future, maybe an emergency left back, maybe an emergency midfielder. If we feel the needs, I think it will probably depend on injuries as well. So let's talk about more detail about him. So signing in January, but keep him loaned out at Rosenborg, joins in the summer, very much what Tottenham did with Lucas Bergvall. So if you don't know Nypan, we're going to get to know him for a little bit over these next few minutes. Nypan is one of the under-18 players with the most goals in assists, the most assists in Europe at the moment. Esteval has 7, but he's obviously played more games. Nypan has 4, Yang has 4, and Lamine Yamal has 4. So he's one of the most assistive under 18 players, and you can see the level of talents there. Yang has just been signed by Tottenham. Esteval's going to join up with Chelsea, and I know Chelsea signed a lot of good young talent, but Esteval is probably the best young talent that Chelsea have signed. And obviously Yamal doesn't really need to be introduced. We all know who that is as well. Only concern is we have so much top young potential attacking talent in our youth already. And I agree with Alex. I think the only concern around this is we've got Garnacho, we've got Maino, we've got Shea Lacey potentially as well. Sekou Kone, obviously different positions and stuff. But, is it worth going for Nypan because, we've got Shea Lacey or Jack Fletcher that could come through and play that role? And I absolutely get that. But I also think with Shea Lacey's injuries and with us having a lot of academy players that haven't quite hit the mark, I think sometimes you have to say, well, you know what, we might have it in the academy, but if we can get this guy for a good price, we're going to go for it because we can't predict how Shea Lacey's career is going to go. Shea Lacey may be a better talent than this guy. Shea Lacey might end up being a better player than this guy. And we don't want to be Chelsea and have every young player and, just hoard all the young players and hoard all the great young talent. We need to find that balance. But I do think it's one of those where we don't want to get every great young talent, and we need to realise that we've got a lot of good young talent ourselves. But every now and then, sign that gem and take it to Nice, take it to Lausanne, eventually to United as well. Lascelles, Mantato, etc. And I get what you mean. I think we've got so much young talent that we don't need to go out and sign loads and loads of young talent, but I guess it's just competition for the academy as well. Nypan is more of an 8. In terms of players he gets compared to, Martin Odegaard is among those that Nypan is often compared to. So it was said by United Red Report, it's probably too soon for Mount or Højlund to start against Palace. United won't rush players back like last year. Euro may be back closer to the next international game. United are looking at Bruno replacements. Keep an eye on Nypan in January. Now, I covered this earlier, but obviously it was said by the Muppeteers last night that United are looking at long-term Bruno replacements, and that Nypan ahead of the January window is one to keep an eye out on as well. So, we had a few information earlier today about Nypan, and, we've been linked to him in the summer, we've been linked to him in March, we've been linked to him multiple times. It's very obvious that Manchester United have interest in the player. So what else was said on him? Manchester United and Bayer Leverkusen scouts were in attendance for the Rosenborg against Leonborg game yesterday, this was said last week. Most likely to watch Nypan. So Manchester United sent scouts again to Rosenborg to watch Nypan. We'd obviously played them in pre-season. It's definitely a player that Manchester United are interested in. It's definitely a player that Manchester United have been following heavily, and it's definitely a player that Manchester United like is Nypan. And United have obviously recently been sort of sending out scouts. There was apparently rumours that we actually had contact with his agent in August when we were worried that Arsenal could have done that deal. And if Arsenal went and got him in August, we would have went and competed with Arsenal for him in August to just bring him in the next year, just so we don't lose out on him to Arsenal. So if Arsenal went and made a push for this guy, we like to act thinking because he's a United fan, we can obviously beat Arsenal to his signature as well. The project is projecting 100%. The project's exciting. Gittins, Nypan, there's a lot of great young talent being linked to United. It's just about finding the right balance of talent, experience, and people already in their prime, which is something that Chelsea obviously struggled to do as well. But you look at the academy, the levels of talent there. You look at the players being signed who will go into the academy, but I think are being seen as first-team signings like Kone. Lenny Yoro is academy age, but he is a first-team signing when you spend that kind of money. It is exciting as well. There's a difference as well with such young players actually playing at senior level already. Those are often special. Yeah, I look at Esteval, Yamal, Nypan. They're playing at senior level already. And I think people don't realise how difficult it is from that step up from academy football to senior football. And some players are really good in academy football, but they struggle with that step up. Charlie McNeil broke so many records, growing up at Manchester City. I think he got like 700 goals. But I think he struggled a bit. I think he didn't have the right loans and all of that as well. But he was a guy that, if you looked at his numbers, you're like, whoa, what's happening? And that could happen with Obi Martin, who we've signed as well. You never know. Now, I think he's doing a decent job. Charlie McNeil, I believe that he is playing for Sheffield Wednesday. I don't know how he's doing now, and I believe that he can be a good player with a good career, but he did struggle to take that step up, and he's 21 years of age now, and I believe he's got 2 goals for Sheffield Wednesday as well. So we'll have to see what happens with Charlie McNeil. But I think it's a big step up, 100%, and you've got to be careful with the players you have. So I think having players like Nypan, that I know it's not the Premier League, but has played first-team football, you at least know he can deal with the physicality of playing with men and not boys, if you get me. I really do like Kabassi at Barcelona. He seems like an absolute baller in the very little I've watched him play. He was a player that Man United were linked to, but I don't know if he was linking himself to United to get a new contract at Barcelona, which is something that does happen a little bit at Manchester United as well. But let's dive into some more news let's dive into some more stories. So obviously, just to give you some updates on sort of talent, Profunde is the under 18 player with the fifth most free passes. Obviously, INEOS player at Lausanne. Nypan, Lennon Miller, Can Özun, and Lamine Yamal. So these are players in the top 5 leagues with the most through passes, and as well as assists, you can see that Nypan is influencing the game with through passes, and you can see where he's been compared to the likes of Martin Odegaard, not just because he's Norwegian, but he's that kind of player, and I think he's who United would look at maybe as a long-term Bruno replacement, because he could be the next Wirtz, he could be the next Musiala, without having to spend 100 million or worse on Musiala and trying to convince them to come. So let's tell you a little bit about Nypan. I saw a thread on Nypan. I'm only going to read out a few bits of the thread. I'm not going to read out the whole thing. So go check out this thread if you want more detail on it, which just goes into Nypan and the kind of player he is. And I thought this was quite interesting. So 17 can play as an 8, can play as a 10. Has sometimes played centre forward as well and out wide, but definitely probably an 8/10. Dribbling, passing, vision and creativity, and his composure is probably his biggest strengths. He is left-footed and he's been compared to Odegaard and Modric. I'd say more Odegaard because he's a bit more attacking-minded. Now, this is what the Scouting Eye said. Nypan possesses a remarkable ability to glide past opponents with ease thanks to his excellent dribbling skills and agility. What sets Nypan apart is his maturity and composure on the pitch, often defying his tender age. His vision and passing range are exceptional. It was said enabling him to lock defences with precision. Moreover, Nypan has showed a penchant for scoring crucial goals. Nypan is a versatile midfielder who excels in both the attack and defensive sides of the game, which is good, but also contributes with goals as we see. It said that Nypan is exceptionally comfortable receiving the ball with his back to goal and can effectively drop deep to initiate build-up from defence, which is what Odegaard does, which was something that Bruno could do as well. Nypan possesses excellent ball carrying ability, shielding the ball expertly and using his body to showcase his nimble footwork to evade pressure. His tactical awareness and press resistance enable him to navigate throughout congested midfield oppositions, defences regardless. Moreover, Nypan is a gifted passer, executing diagonal switches, short, long. He excels at receiving the ball in the half term, allowing him to quickly switch play, burst forward with his feet, and his defensive contributions are there but not fully polished. But I thought that was a good breakdown of the kind of player Nypan is. Smooth, silky, technical, good with his feet, good on the turn, can improve defensively, but has elements of Odegaard, being helpful in build-up, being helpful on the ball as well. Yup, Obi Martin is a striker, but we chased him since the start of the transfer and we still not buy him. It's the conversation with Arsenal Saturday. I don't know what's going on with Obi Martin. I think Arsenal are probably doing what they can to make it difficult because they're a bit annoyed about the situation as well. Barcelona often find ways to keep La Masia products. They do. Barcelona are very good at keeping their top products, and I think they do give out quite good wages, but Barcelona's academy is number 1. I think Man United's academy is number 2 as well. Guys, we've got 81 likes already. I really want to hit 250 likes. So if you're watching right now, we've got over 500 people watching right now, and you've not hit that like button, please do as well. But he sounds confident on the ball, says Diego, and I think you're right. He sounds like a confident player that's silky, that's smooth, that's technical, that likes to create, makes things happen. The through passes, the assist, but is confident on the ball, which I think is what you need. He's also got experience in the first team game as well, which is what you like to see. Let's talk a little bit about more news and more information coming about. So, Ty Marshall said the average team age ahead of last season was 27. That's what he said. And then he said that Ten Hag could pick an 11 with the average age below 25 for the first time, the youngest since September 2019. Well, why is this one set? I can't shut this there. The door just opened there. I couldn't shut it there. But sorry. Me talking. The average team age for last season was 27. Ten Hag could pick an 11 with the average age below 25 for the first time since December 2019, which shows that Man United are building a younger squad. We've been talking about Nypan, Gittins, that Croatian midfielder the other day, Dorgu. We keep talking about all these young players that have been linked to United and all these young players that could be brought into United here, could be brought into United there. And it's very clear that INEOS want to create a younger squad. You've got De Ligt 25, you've got Mazraoui 26 with the older signings, with Xerxes 23, Agati 23, Euro 23, Sekou Kone coming in at 18. They want to build around Højlund, Ahmad, Garnacho and Maino. They're the 4 players for the future. And they want to get the average age below 25. And this is the first time since December 2019 that we might be able to get the average age of the United squad below 25. Now, average age isn't the end of the world, but an average age of 25 shows that it's a young, promising squad for the future. And it's very obvious that United are building for the future. they've got an interesting interesting plan there. Seemingly looking at Dibbling as well. Yeah, exactly. And I think he looks like a good player. Obviously, I only really got to know him because he cut Diego Dalot, but from what I've seen of him, he's been super exciting with his carries and everything in the Premier League as well. We looked at Diao, we've looked at Dibblings, we've looked at Gittins on the wing, so 3 really good young wingers there. We're looking at Nypan as potentially a long-term Bruno replacement. I think a winger will happen probably in the summer unless there is an injury in there. I think maybe someone like Nypan happens now, but we loan him back as well. Happy belated birthday, Alice. Big up the community as well. Big up everybody in the chat. Thank you everyone for all the happy birthday messages yesterday. Really do appreciate that as well. And everyone that subscribed, tuned into the show, hit the like button, all of that as well. So let's talk about sort of the big plans for the youth. So there's a guy in the youth called Baumann who has signed his first professional contract with Manchester United. He's a central midfielder with abundance of intelligence and quality in possession, and United are tying down another talented youngster for the future in Zach. It was said the 17-year-old midfielder Baumann has signed his first professional contract with Manchester United, and the highly talented midfielder from Ukraine has also been with United since he was a child. He's technically gifted on the ball and one to watch. So there's been a lot of positive things said about Baumann, but obviously this one's saying Baumann has got an old head on his shoulder, calm under pressure, capable of disguising intent when receiving, and able to slot anywhere in midfield, decent selection and weighted pass, room to improve defensively, but I like seeing him get in the box and good finishing. He's one of the highest rated academy youngsters there. He's known as a very intelligent central midfielder who has quality on the ball, could maybe improve off the ball, but that might just come with age, but he's got a lot of quality on the ball that United might want to see. And I think, when you look at the Man United Academy and the amount of really good, exciting names in there, it is exciting. The Fletchers, the JC Fitzgerald, Baumann, you've got Shea Lacey, Amit Ibrahimov, who can play as 10s as well. It's really exciting, the amount of talent coming through in the academy at the moment. And it's just about, some of these guys aren't going to make it, obviously. And it's just about hoping that, we can get the best out of all the players coming through, and a couple of them do make it. The fact that we are a team that has Rashford featuring a lot, Garnacho, Maino, 3 academy products featuring an arguably best starting 11 is something that's really special. And I think, we do have a special academy. We had Maino, we had Garnacho recently. I think there is a lot more to come, which is exciting. You look at Arsenal, Arteta hasn't brought anyone through because Saka came through under Emery. Odegaard's injured, he's not seemingly taking the chance on Namwari. Oh, breaking news, guys. Malacia is now officially in training as well. I tell you what, Malacia, where have you been, man? Where have you been? But Fabrizio Romano has just said this now. Manchester United confirmed Tyrone Malacia has returned to team training. Malacia is stepping up his comeback following a spell on the sidelines as he took part in the warm-up at Friday's training session in Carrington. So it's good to say that Malacia is back and involved. He's been out for 18 months, people. I mean, I think, look, Malacia is on the way back, but when you've been out for that long, it's not like he's been out for 6 weeks or 3 months. When you've been out for longer than a year, I think when you've been out for longer than a season or really, I think it's difficult when you've been out 3-4 months, but the minute you've been out 8 months or longer, I think it must be really difficult to return. So I really hope he's the same level when he returns. He hasn't lost a yard of pace, he hasn't lost some speed. I really hope the injury hasn't affected him too much, but it was a nasty injury. And I do have concerns about Malacia coming back because I don't know what he's going to be like. I thought he was good in his first season. He stepped up versus Barcelona, stepped up in loads of big games like Liverpool and Arsenal. And I think he's a really good second choice left back to have. But I think when he's been out that long, there's the fear of, how good is he going to be as well? We should get Theo Fernandez, Grimalda, or Inter's left back. They're quite attacking minded. I personally myself would just go with Anthony Robinson. And that is because I know he's good. He's Premier League proven he can do the job. And I actually think it could give us time to bring Amas through if Amas is as good as we hope he'll be as well. And I think he's got similarities to Shaw's strengths as well. So I'd probably go with Anthony Robinson. I do like Dorgu though as well. He looks like a really, really good young talent. Obviously Hernandez is decent, but I think if you go for obvious names, sometimes you just have to overpay a little bit, which is a problem we've had. But it is good to see Malacia back training with Manchester United. It's been a while. It's been a while since Tyrone Malacia has been involved. So the fact that Malacia is back, he's training with Manchester United, is always good to see. Guys, I am going to get into some more news. I am going to get into some more stories because we've got a few returns from injury. Not just Malacia returning from injury, but Dan Gore has been out for about 8-9 months as well. Went on loan to Port Vale and basically played like 2 games and got injured, and it was a shame because I think we're all excited for Dan Gore's loan. Tenal gave him his debut about December last year. I remember watching the Youth Cup, so I did a watch along to the Youth Cup in 2022, and I remember saying Dan Gore, Maino, Garnacho, they're the standout 3 players to me. Now we know all about Maino and Garnacho. They scored FA Cup final goals, they're regular starters for United. Dan Gore hasn't quite kicked on, but he was in the same talent bracket as Maino and Garnacho for me. I remember watching Dan Gore, Maino and Garnacho, and those were the 3 talents that I just thought had the best chances of making it United, and 2 of them have, which is incredibly special. But I just wanted to give you context of that because of how much I rate Dan Gore, and he is now back in at Carrington doing light training, which is good to see, and hopefully he'll be back on the return soon. Am I freezing? Look, I do apologise if I'm freezing or glitching. I hope everything is coming out fine as well. Is there any lag? Someone said, where can I find Sat Baumann highlights? Probably just YouTube it, mate. But I do apologise if the quality of the stream has dropped. But yeah, I think that is obviously good to see. And obviously we've also heard that Chalobah, Decore, I think will not be in the Palace game, which is good news for United, and even will Franca, and we will talk about the Palace game in a second. But it was said that Sir Jim Ratcliffe wants United's new intended stadium to be one of the biggest in Europe, and plans are set to be submitted before the end of the year. So it looks like a new stadium is happening at United, because this was then announced by United, the INEOS Arena. It looks like it's happening. So I'm going to just break down everything you need to know on the potential new stadium at United. Manchester United confirmed Foster plus partners will be appointed to develop a master plan for what will probably be a new Old Trafford Stadium. The focus will be to design a world-class football destination and home for Manchester United fans, coupled with a wider master plan comprising mixed-use developments which will benefit the local community, attract new residents, increase job provision, and make it a vibrant destination for visitors from Manchester, the UK, and all around the world. The exercise will include substantial engagement with fans, community members, local authorities, and the Old Trafford Regeneration Task Force, whose feedback and insight will be incorporated into the master plan. So this is almost confirmation that we are building a new stadium. Samuel Lutka said a combination of public and private funding could finance the stadium, with Prime Minister Keir Starmer open to conversations around government support, which would help us as long as they don't own a bit of the profits. It was said that Populous, employed by Glazer in 2022, submitted a possibility of a new stadium and a scaled down Old Trafford, which means we keep Old Trafford for the women's and the youth, which is what I'd like to see, because I just don't think you can get rid of Old Trafford because it's history. And it said that some INEOS figures would be keen to retain both stadiums, but cost of 2 major expenditure projects jar the group rampant cost cutting at United, and I think it's just a matter of cost. I think they would like to keep Old Trafford and build a new stadium, but it is a matter of cost. They may have to abandon Old Trafford, which is something we don't want to see because it's such an iconic stadium as well. I'd be very sad if we left Old Trafford as well. Me too. I went there back in May, and I'd be really, really, really upset if we had to abandon the stadium as well. I'm going 3-1 tomorrow, man of the match Agate. Well, hopefully Agate starts tomorrow. But obviously this was said by United People TV. This is massive news. Foster and partners have been appointed to lead the master plan for the Old Trafford Stadium. Much more than just a stadium. It's an urban regeneration project. So really shows the amount of money going into a new stadium. But I do want to talk about the match tomorrow. I do want to talk about what my lineup would be. Because if I'm going to be honest with you guys, I want to see Agate start. I want to see Agate, Maino, Bruno midfield free. I know Eriksen's was good the last game. I know that he might start Casemiro, but I like Agate. I've seen enough of Agate to say, yeah, he's the guy that needs to start. Let me know who you'd start down below, but my lineup is looking like that, midfield free. I'd start Rashford because he's confident, Xerxes and Ahmad, and have Garnacho making him off the bench. Bruno, Agate, Maino, and then the back 4, obviously Masraoui, Delo, Delict, Martinez. That's the back 4 with Onana in goal. That's the lineup I want to see. Maybe he tries Rashford as striker because he played well versus Barnsley, but I just think Joshua Xerxes makes us goes up levels, and he's obviously been well rested. So that's sort of the lineup I'd like to see. If you're watching on Playback or live, please do subscribe. Big up Diego and everyone in the chat. I'll probably never be able to see the original Trafford one day, but when I have enough money saved up, I'm definitely going to visit the new one. Yeah, definitely go visit it if you haven't already. If you can find the money, I'd recommend it. Even though it's, they say Old Trafford's falling down and all that, I remember my first time going to Old Trafford when I was younger. It's just the most amazing place to just be and witness and stand. I remember my first game, I think the feeling the first time you go is like a feeling you definitely can't forget. as well. I think Casemiro and Cobby will start. I think Casemiro and Cobby will start, or Ericsson and Cobby will start, if I'm going to be totally honest as well. How is Ugarte after what happened to his leg against Barnsley? I think he's absolutely fine. It was more of a cut, one of those things as well. And only 2 players ruled out for Palace on loan: defender Chalobah and Franco. Oh, I was going to say, I was hoping Decore would be ruled out because I think he causes us problems last time. All I'm saying is, guys, you've got to remember, Crystal Palace beat us 4-0 last time we went to Selhurst Park, and they deserve to win 4-0. It's not when we lose 4-0 and, we could have maybe lost 2-0 and the scoreline's fattering. Like, we lost 4-0 and we could have lost 6-7-0 to Palace. There's a lot of games we lost where I could be positive and I could be like, oh, this game we lost, but we had a good 20-minute spell. I think we lost 3-1 to Brighton. This was last season. I think it was like one of Højlund's first games for United, and he scored, but it was offside. It's not about Brighton and scoring offside goals. But I remember we had Brighton at home last season. We won 3-1, but I remember the first 20 minutes, at least there was something positive about the game, and then it was awful. And we had a few games where there was positive 10-15 minute spells. The Crystal Palace game was awful from minute 0 to minute 90. And that was the one game without Bruno Fernandes in the Premier League. And people, want Bruno Fernandes sold in this fan base. It's crazy because when we don't play Bruno, we get battered 4-0 by Palace as well. Rasmus Højlund is in the squad tomorrow to face Crystal Palace. Breaking news coming in that Rasmus Højlund is in tomorrow's squad to play Crystal Palace. So I don't think Rasmus Højlund will start, but I think Rasmus Højlund is going to be on the bench versus Crystal Palace, which is exciting to see as well. Someone said, do you think Casemiro will play? I don't know, because Ten Hag started to drop him, so you never know. So it'll be interesting. What was I going to say? Someone said, yes, I think potentially Ugarte doesn't start, but I'd start Ugarte as well. 100% I start Ugarte. I hope the camera quality and microphone and all of that is okay. We did have some technical issues earlier, but I'm going to wrap up the live show in a second, guys. So please hit the like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. Rasmus Højlund is back. That's a big positive for United. I was saying something just before that and I completely forgot what I'm saying. So I'm just going to wrap up the show here and say thanks everyone for watching. See you next time. Bye.